Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Lunchtime Learnings. I'm delighted to be joined today with Holly Price, the bespoke estate agent from York. So thank you very much for giving up your time and sharing all your learnings to our lovely viewers and watchers and listeners and anybody else. So how are you?
Yeah, really, really good. Thank you. It's one of those things. I've been away for a couple of days and it's now back into the swing of it. So, when you're off even for like half a day, you've got a mountain of things to do. So it's, nice and busy, which is good.
Good. Well, I'm going to ask you then about your time management in a bit, but I will come to you and just say, let's talk about you going from working in a car garage, working in sales, working in new builds, working in lettings, working in online agencies, having your own business. So start from the beginning. Tell us a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today, please.
So I pretty much, I think where a lot of people start in retail. I started in retail. So my mum and dad met at when they used to work at WHSmith's, and I started at WHSmith's, and then my brother did, and then my sister did. It's very weird sort of family connection to WHSmith's. But anyway, I started my sort of love of sales, customer service really there. I was there for a long time, and I became a manager sort of at 19 and got off my own shop and things quite young. So I really I had a real work ethic sort of from the get-go, and I think I got that from my dad. So moving sort of from there, I went to Boots, I did some other bits, and then I went to car garage because I'm good at sales. I think, not specifically because I'm a woman, but I'm quite empathetic, and I generally chat to anybody, as you'll probably know. I literally will talk to anybody who will listen. So, and that generally makes you quite a good salesperson, I think. So I did really well there. Unfortunately, it wasn't a fantastic environment for me personally, and I actually needed to get out there quite quick. So going from that, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought I didn't want to go back into retail. I wanted to stay in sales, but because I was quite kind of on the hunt for a job quite quickly, like many people that you've spoken to, I fell into a estate agency. And I think that's such a common thing that everybody says. I feel like it's just the standard line of, how did you get into a estate agency? I fell into it. I saw an advert for a sales negotiator. I'd previously worked in Harrogate, or if I was saying it how I'd usually say it, Harrogate, but that's, I think, the common way of saying it. So I worked in Harrogate for WHSmith's when I was a supervisor there, when I was a manager there. So I saw an advert for hunters for a sales negotiator, and I thought, well, it's in the Harrogate sort of area. I was still living in York. I thought, do you know what? That's fine. I'll do that. I remember meeting the branch manager at the time at the pub for an interview, standard interview. Had a lemon and lime, and got the job. So that was it. So sort of started in there. Kind of just, I was in Harrogate for I think it was about maybe 9 months, and then I moved to the York office, and then I don't know if it just kind of went from there, really. But that's where I fell in love with property. Well, it's not even property, is it? Like, it's people. That's why we do what we do. So I was at Hunters for 5 years. I absolutely loved it there. Like, I loved the people, and it was that kind of time where we used to go out afterwards for a drink, and we'd go to the pub with Kevin Hollinrake, and we'd all go to the pub together and things, and that was great. I remember once Kevin told me off once. I can't remember what I did. I did something, and he told me off. He brought me into his office, and he was like, "Do you really want this to be your career?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And that kind of changed my attitude from there. And since then, I've just sort of loved being involved in property. So left hunters after I started up there. I did valuing and not a lot of valuing, but I did valuing, and then I had a hand in auctions, and then I did I started their sales progression department, what it is now, and then I did some other bits and bobs. Then I got an email from somebody at McCarthy and Stone, so that was a new build retirement, and I was there for 2.5 years. I progressed to the dependent property manager for the whole of the Northeast, which was basically dealing with every single apartment sale, dealing with every single part exchange, dealing with the pot of money to buy in and sell part exchange houses. And then I got made redundant, sadly, and then it just happens though, doesn't it? And then I went to a prop tech firm doing sort of no deposit kind of thing. That was in the pandemic. Then I went to a property buying company, which were literally like a cash for homes and online estate agents. So we dealt with that. Then I got pregnant, and then I thought, you know what, now is a really good time to start a business. So that's basically, in a very quick nutshell, the last 10 years in property is just sort of, it's been a bit of a journey, really.
Amazing. Right, let's start with Smiths.
Yeah.
So what did you learn working in Smiths then? I mean, you talk a lot about people, and obviously people's very relatable. You talk about empathy. Can't imagine that many unhappy people in Smiths being served by the Price family the whole time. So what do you think then makes an exceptional customer experience, whether it's in retail or property or working in garages?
I think it's about listening to people and just being generally a nice person. I think that a lot of people, you know, they're going about their daily lives and they're maybe in a rush or what have you, and actually understanding that people are going through different things and just being a nice person, I think, is the general crux of everything. You know, that is at the heart of customer service. It's actually just being a genuine, proper, nice person, really. And I think also having the ability, I think, is one of the things that, having the ability to read people as well as much as you can, and listen, I think, and read a room or read not an energy. I'm not particularly like a hippie sort of person, but sort of you can kind of get vibes, can't you? So just kind of reading people and just being nice.
Very true. Very true. I wish there was a lot more nicer people in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make a big difference. Everybody was so kind in COVID, and then God knows what happened after that. So.
Absolutely. And the thing is as well about WHSmith, so I started like as a Saturday girl on the books floor, and then I ended up getting this mad ability of being able to basically remember over the 5 years, remember exactly what books and how many we had and where that was on what shelf. And I could tell you like straight away if we'd had like 3 copies in, 1 copy in, I could tell you exactly where it was. Like if you could tell me a cover of a book, I'd be like, yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. And I think as well, like retail helps with resilience as well, because especially, I think they still do it now. You've got like a till point conversation. So a TPC is what they used to call it, a till point conversation, selling a £1 bar of chocolate. And honestly, that really builds up builds character and builds up your resilience to sort of objections, to be honest. So that's a good one.
100%. I think you need a lot of resilience in our business. It is such a roller coaster. 100%. 1 minute you're flying high, you've just done a sale. The next minute you just lost a sale, and it's it's challenging. How do you overcome with that? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with being in such a roller coaster?
I'm quite an emotional person, and I take things to heart sometimes. So whilst everybody says, you know, maybe some people that you might have asked that sort of question to will probably go, oh, you know, you just get on with it, you know, water off a duck's back kind of thing. But I do take things quite personally, and I think that you do kind of have to just get on with it. You can acknowledge the fact that okay, it's annoying or upsetting or whatever, but you do have to kind of find a way to move on. I probably have a glass of wine and have a bit of chocolate and then just actually look at the bigger picture, because I think that's really important. The reason I started this business is for me and my family and our daughter Grace. Like, she's 18 months, it's for a long term, plan for our family and to be and feel comfortable and happy. So don't get me wrong, like, money isn't the root of all happiness or anything like that, but just saying that that's kind of, you've got to think about the bigger picture rather than thinking, right, okay, this one thing went wrong, try not to dwell on it, I think.
Good advice.
Glass of wine.
So that's a very brave step to start your own business.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that, and how long's that new business been going?
I talked about it with my husband in 2020. So I'm very, very lucky to have my husband by my side, because he's my best friend, and he is the one that really encouraged me from the beginning and said, actually, and put the thought into my head, actually, Holly, you could do this. Why don't you think about this? So we originally started talking about it in 2020, but there was a lot of personal stuff going on in the background. Fortunately, my parents were divorcing after sort of 35 years together, and it all kind of came out of nowhere, or what it felt like to us anyway. And then we were moving house, and then we were selling the family home, and also COVID. We were trying to get married, so we got married late 20 or early 2021 after the 5th attempt because of COVID. So there was so many things that kind of were going on at that time. But I was speaking to Adam Day, who sort of obviously heads up the UK XP sort of side of it, in 2020. So this has been sort of a 2-year thing coming, if not longer, looking into it and talking about it. So I'm now into my 2nd year. I announced last February that I was going to start doing it. So Grace was, I think, 6 months old at that point that I'd actually announced it. I'd registered my company in the December, so she was about 3 months old. And I thought, there's sort of, if I don't do it now, I will never do it. And there's never a right time to start a business. And I've never run my own business. I've never done it before. But I just thought, this is something that I have to give it a go. I've got Andy telling me, my husband telling me how I should do it and I could do it. And having somebody believe in you like that is kind of, you can't really ignore that. Unless people are lying to you and you're going on X Factor and they tell you you're really good singers and you're really not. But this is a little bit different, I think. So yeah, so now it's sort of I'm just only into my sort of 2nd year of actually, after announcing and also today it's 2 years today since I announced I was pregnant as well. So it's all kind of
Congratulations. So there's a few things I actually want to ask you there. So selling your family property.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that experience?
No, not to get involved ever again of things like so I'm the eldest out of like 3 kids, and I think I took a lot on at that point, and to look after everybody, and I've always kind of been like that, but I think I learned a lot about, I don't know if the word being brutal, if that kind of, I think at that point I sort of tried to detach things like emotions from certain things. So that kind of helped with my resilience, and tried to kind of figure that out. But it was a really difficult time, but we get through it.
And then did you sell through agents, or did you sell through an agent that you recommended?
I did recommend an agent. So when we sold our house at the same time as we were selling the family house, we sold through an independent agent in York, who I'd still would recommend today. That not over myself, obviously, but if to lose to anybody, that they're a really good independent agent, and I would always want to use them. My mum and dad decided to go for another agent, which I suggested, and that was great. That was fine. And you know what? Both were good both had good service. I think the one that we went with an independent estate agent, that was obviously something that was very important to me and Andy, that we wanted to go with an independent because we believed that they were doing a fantastic job. They were doing something different. We loved that kind of thing. Whereas my mum and dad kind of wanted to just there was emotion involved, but there wasn't really sort of like bothered about that kind of service. That wasn't their priority. So yeah, they just went with another estate agent. Again, very good.
Good. And lessons learned from starting your own business and your first year?
Gosh, what haven't I learned? I think one of the things starting your own business is that's different. That's separate to being an estate agent. I think those two are the two stark things. I think I've found that I thought it would be quite easy just to kind of, run a business. Like, I've never done it before, but I just thought, I'm good at estate agency. I think I really like to help people. That's what I want to do. And I don't think that I actually, in my mind, merged the two together of running starting an actual limited company to, doing the everyday role and doing it. So I think that was a big learn, that kind of I actually now have proper responsibilities as a company owner to do stuff, rather than kind of just thinking, I don't know, managing my diary. So I think that was a big thing, and actually listening to other professionals who know what they're talking about, like an accountant, financial advisor, those kind of people. And also I have spoken to so many fantastic other agents that are either with different models or have owned their own started off their own back kind of thing, or been in it for 5 minutes, or 5 years, 50 years, whatever. Actually learning from others has helped me massively. I thought I could do it on my own, and whilst I am doing it on my own, I would never have gotten there without the support of, like, say, people like yourself, or Agents Together, or my fellow EXP people, or even like fantastic agents that are with other models. Like, I can't, and suppliers, I don't think I could do it without them. So collaboration's a massive thing that I've learned as well, and not thinking that I could just do it on my own and I'll be fine without any help or any input, because I'm quite stubborn.
No, do you know what? I think collaboration is massive. And in my days, many, many years ago, there definitely wasn't collaboration there. I think agents hated estate agents, full stop. And it's lovely to see agents collaborating so much in all the different Facebook groups, actually wanted to help everybody. And I think it's important, because I think as an industry, we need to raise our standards. We are trusted to sell people's biggest tax-free asset. And yet nobody trusts estate agents. I don't really quite understand how that works, but it does. So I think if everybody can collaborate, all look to raise the standards in the industry, and then the estate agents should get the credit they deserve, which is a lot of credit. I don't think the public really understand what an estate agent does. It's not just about putting the property in a portal. Actually, you do considerably more. And one of the things I love what you do is all the videos you do. So you seem to be the go-to person for the BBC in your area. How did that all happen?
I mean, it's not the BBC, it's Talk TV. So, but I'll take it. Yeah, so that was great. I got a call from Scott Gunn at EXP, who's my sponsor at EXP. He's fantastic. And he rang me just one day. I think I was finishing off a viewing somewhere, and he said, "Look, Holly, Russell Quirk has got a slot on Christmas Eve." In fact, it was Christmas Eve, because I was doing a viewing on Christmas Eve. And he said, I don't know what you're doing with family and whatever, but he's asked me to do this thing. I can't do it. Would you, Holly, be able to do it if you speak to Russell and kind of go from there? And so I did a quick chat about the Boxing Day launch with Russell Quirk, and then from there the producers generally ring me because I say yes. So and I say yes at a short notice, so that's good for me. I don't mind that. But from there, it's been really lovely just to kind of be considered. And it's funny seeing my name. I know I shouldn't say funny because I should be sort of, I don't know, not so really surprised about it, but they put property expert and I'm like, oh, it's great. I'm a property expert. Look at me. But to be fair, like I've done this for 10 years. I have done pretty much everything in the, pretty much everything in the sort of property sector, little bits, even though it's little bits, I really cram in and try and learn as much as I possibly can. And I think all of that coming together is really nice to see, and get asked for stuff like that. And whilst it might not be the BBC yet, it's really lovely to be considered as a property expert and things. That's really nice.
So BBC, I know you're going to be watching this. You've got somebody on here
on the inside, yeah.
A lot of people will find going on Talk TV or any TV or even getting behind a camera very daunting. How do you overcome that?
I try. I can't remember who told me or gave me a tip, but somebody said to me quite recently, and once, talk to the person that you're talking to like you talk to a best friend or a really close friend, and that's all that that's the only person that you're talking to. You're not talking to whoever is watching, or you're not talking to whoever's going to see it later on YouTube or what have you. You are talking to a friend. You're talking to somebody that knows you really well and you know really well. So you can kind of open up and you can relax a little bit. It's the same with my videos. When I do property tours, I get things wrong all the time, and that's just it. And that's just kind of, there's no beating around the bush. I get stuff wrong all the time. I've got more bloopers than I've got successful takes in things. But I think it's just, you just have to kind of, sounds stupid because it's so hard, but you have to just do it. And I don't know how else to kind of say that, but I did theatre studies as well at school. So I've always been like a theatre. We were just chatting before we came on about the theatre, and kind of that's my background. I've been in pantomimes. I love that sort of stuff. So that sort of thing does come naturally to me, and I'm really lucky for that. And I definitely don't consider myself I don't know, an expert with everything like that. But I think I just kind of try and forget about everything else that's going on.
Well, one of the videos that I really enjoyed recently was your frequently asked questions.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's funny because now I'm getting a little bit busier, and now I've got my name out there a little bit more. Now, look, York's a big city, and I didn't want to, when I started my business, like some people want to kind of really hone in on one postcode, and I really didn't want to do that because York is a full city I absolutely love. So, but now I'm getting busier and also coming up against other agents who are also starting to notice me, which is good, which is great, which is lovely. And agents that I've known again through years of being in a estate agency, in York and nationally as well. So I think sometimes the facts, those frequently asked questions actually come really from somebody else having another agent round saying, oh, who else are you having out? Oh, well, I'm having Holly Price. And them sort of smirking and going, well, she's on her own, and like, well, yeah, that's fine, I'm getting her out. And generally people know what they're getting before they get me out, which is good, which is nice. So those comments coming from other agents or anything like that is it just sort of actually helps me more than it helps them, I think. And there's enough business to go around, so I don't get bothered about it. There's just, it's just one of those things.
I like your attitude. Your attitude.
There is a business.
So, start a business.
Yep.
Got not many properties, if any.
Yeah.
How did you go out and find the first ones? Where did they come from?
Referrals. So first one, I remember crying at the valuation after I'd done it. And he said, yeah, let's go ahead. I'm not getting anybody else. I was so shocked that even anybody would even consider using me. Like I didn't have any sort of, properties to show them. This is what I've sold there. I just had me and not a lot of equipment, basically. I planned on launching. So I announced it in February last year, and I planned on launching in May when my little one was about to go to nursery. And then I got a referral and and I thought, well, I can't say no. That was in the March. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? I can't say no. Let's go for it. So then it started to become, it's so funny that people have known me as an estate agent for forever. Like people have messaged me, and I used to get messages all the time from loads of different people looking to buy, looking to sell, that just know me as an estate agent. So that really helped get the first couple of listings. And then from there, oh, bless you. And then from there, I did some canvassing, and we just went out with Grace in the carrier, and we had the cockapoo Elvis on the lead, and me and Andy went out canvassing the village where we were, got one from there. And really now it's kind of referrals, Facebook, social media, definitely. So yeah, but it definitely at the start, it was one of those things that people had always known me as an estate agent, even though I hadn't been an estate agent for about 5 years before I actually started, not like properly, not a traditional being in an estate agency office. So yeah, so that's it really, and referrals, and I can't thank people enough for that. So it's really lovely.
Fantastic. So earlier you mentioned agents together.
Yes.
So how have they helped you?
So I have a fantastic mentor called Angela Wallace. She is just an amazing powerhouse, and we have a lot of things in common. We got on really, really well. But sort of, I was at a point where I just started my business. I wasn't in a great place, sort of, with my mental health. It's something that I still deal with now as well. So, but I wasn't in a great place, and I needed some help, and I needed some support, and I didn't have the money to find like a counsellor or kind of, not that that's what you're there for, but like a business coach. I just didn't have that money because I just got my first instruction, and I wasn't going to get paid on that for months. So being with agents together has just been just like a little lifeline, really. Just somebody that I could go to that doesn't know, EXP, doesn't have that involvement there, completely somewhere separate, that doesn't know me and can get to know me on a completely separate level. And it's just been fantastic. And we still talk now, even though our 6 months is up. We voice note, we talk to each other. Like Angela sends me a birthday gift, and she sent me a lovely Christmas gift, and it's fantastic. We say love you after things, so it's actually built into a friendship, which is, I can't thank Sam awfully enough for matching me with Angela. She's amazing.
Oh, that's lovely. And we have a pleasure of meeting the first time a couple of weeks ago at the Women in Estate Agency conference, which I found to be absolutely incredible, eye-opening, inspirational day. I'm sure there's loads more positive adjectives to give to that day. What did you make of it? What did you take away from that day?
So I was quite ill on that day. So I don't know if you remember, but I was pretty much completely lost my voice. So
well, I don't want to say anything, but there was a super spreader in the room because a lot of people had the flu after that.
No, because I feel awful about it. I feel horrible, but I did. I'm so sorry about that. But
I was fine.
Oh, well, that's fine. It can't have been me, really. But yeah, no, it was a fantastic day. So it was. Again, I'm very emotional, very much wear my heart on my sleeve. So I think every single person that talked, I cried. I think it was just the energy in the room was fantastic. Just knowing that all these people were there just to support each other. And I think there were some really difficult conversations that kind of went ahead, but really necessary conversations that went ahead. And the fact that I was sat next to sort of Scott and Adam and Joe Rylett, and I think the feeling, I think certain things, that were talked about was really hard to hear for everybody. But I think, having both men and women there was perfect. It was the right audience, and it was just supportive and lovely. It was lovely, whilst emotionally draining, lovely. I'm sure, if you felt that out of everybody. So yeah, it was fantastic. And also, I'm sorry, I think I've got ADHD. I am ADHD, rather, as I should say. I'm going through tests at the moment with the doctor, but I was really taken aback and felt so proud that people some people slightly knew who I was. So, like, for you to recognise me, and for Verona Frankish to recognise me, my mind was so totally blown, and it really it was a wonderful day. And not just because I sound like big-headed now, people recognize me, but actually it was just it sort of brings home to me that I'm hopefully doing the right things, not just for me, but my clients, my customers, and other people can take away, I don't know, any successes or anything that's happening. So it's nice.
I just think it's the power of social media. And you feel that actually somebody. It's not like you've met for the first time. It's actually, you've seen them 25 times already, because you're seeing them every day. They're on your timeline. They go and then, oh, hello, how are you? You feel like you already know them. I remember I was with Luke in Australia at Arik 4 years ago, and it was 11 o'clock at night on the Gold Coast, and somebody comes along and goes, oh, hi, Luke, how are you? Sorry, that's the worst Aussie accent. That was a Cockney accent. So, it's like, yes. And he goes, I've been watching all your videos that you've been doing from the UK, and it's just incredible.
It's absolutely. I went to a networking event last night, Women Mean Business networking in York, and I walked through the door with my friend, and the first person was like, oh, Holly. And I was like, what's happening? And there's a couple of people in there that sort of recognize me, but it'll be from LinkedIn, from social media, and you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching.
Exactly. So what about you? What do you learn? Where do you get your learnings from? Who do you follow? Any good podcasts, books that you can recommend?
Yeah, so I do, throughout my sort of work experience, I like learning things. I like asking questions. For an example, I probably go too far sometimes asking questions like, how was at the dentist this morning? And she showed me some x-rays of my teeth, and I stood there for another 15 minutes asking loads of questions. I got to write out diagrams for me to show me things. I like to learn about the whys and what is happening and why that's going on. So I have quite I'm quite good at absorbing things if I can see it. I'm a very visual learner and a do it kind of learner. I have to do it to be able to understand and for my brain to take it in. And it's funny, again, with this sort of ADHD potential diagnosis that I'm trying to get at the moment. I was talking to my mum about it the other day, and she said, you couldn't concentrate on things. You couldn't, you would start 1,000 things and then never finish them and never go back to them, and, go from one thing to another. So I think that I'm a very curious person, and I like to do a lot at the same time and also learn as much as I can. I found with being a full-time mum and also starting a full-time business at the same time, I haven't had time for reading, particularly listening to podcasts and things. I did start quite religiously listening to Simon Gates's podcast. So that was fantastic, opening the gates to more listings, and I absolutely love Simon. He's a little legend. And yeah, so I think from a learning point of view, don't get the time as much anymore. Hence why I asked the dentist what all about this thing, because I really like to learn and just absorb things. So
here's a question you need to ask the dentist next time you're there.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, do you have a property empire?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I should do. Yeah.
You will be surprised how many properties they have in their portfolios.
I should do. I know.
That's a little unknown fact.
Thanks for that. No, I will definitely. I'm seeing them again on Friday. So apparently I need some work doing, which is, that's fine. But I'll ask again, and you never know, because you never know where your next listing's coming from, do you? You have to be. The whole goes back to being nice to everybody. You don't know what situation they're in. You don't know anything about them. If you're just nice to everybody, then kind of you never know what will come your way. A bit like karma. So
100%. So look, just final question, and you mentioned there about juggling. So juggling being a mum, juggling looking after your business. We talked about time management at the start. So how'd you do it? What's the secret to your success?
I actually don't know. I've always been rubbish with time management, really, if I'm honest. Again, that's something I've had to learn to do a little bit more of. If the busier I am, the better I am at. I'm not very good when things are quiet and I've not got a lot on, because my mind will wander, or I'll spend hours on Canva just designing things. So I need to be busy. So I try and there are times that I've got, planners. So I have like an hourly planner. So I will write down in there kind of everything that I need to do, and I'll tick it off as I go. But then there are other days where I get lost. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. It's my personality. I get lost sometimes without real structure. So for me, I have no clue how I do it. I don't. It could be the ADHD. And then if it is, then it's a superpower, because actually I can do loads of different things all at once and not know how I'm doing it. But my husband's exactly the same. We bought a house and renovated it. I was dealing with the personal stuff. We moved house, our house. We moved my mum and dad. Then when we moved into this one, we did a full renovation while I was pregnant. I also then started a business at the same time. This was all within about a year. And sort of and again, when we were trying to save up for our first house, we started a side business of making pallet things out of pallet, like wine holders or like bath boards. We're on the go all the time. So there is no answer apart from we're just weird. I don't know.
Never had that answer before on the podcast, but thank you.
You've never had me on before, so.
Look, thank you so much for your time. I'm incredibly grateful. If people want to get hold of you, how do they find you, please?
They will find me on, depending what you need. If you need house selling, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you just want a chat or you're struggling with anything at all, I'm always open for a chat on LinkedIn, or if you want to, pop me a message, my number's on there. So, but yeah, reach out to me. I'm always up for a chat. And if you're ever in York as well, come for a cuppa. Like, tell me and I'll come for a cuppa.
Only if you take me to Betty's tea rooms.
I'm self-employed, Stephen. Like, I don't have to remortgage for that, but maybe we'll see.
Maybe. Thanks very much for your time, and thank you everybody for watching and listening. And please like it, share it, because the content that Holly shared today is great. And I look forward to seeing your further successes and growth, and going from obviously Talk TV to BBC TV, Sky News, CNN. Mind you, don't go to CNN because that's constant negative news.
Yeah, no. Well, you've heard it here.
Allegedly, constant negative news. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.